Hello, today we are going to investigate this failure where kdesrc-build space plasma-framework fails. All of the other modules, all of the dependencies of Plasma Framework build correctly, but Plasma Framework fails with the following error. It says AppletPopup is not a member of KWayland client PlasmaShellSurface role. Okay, let's see what this thing is. So let's open this. So there's a case where it says dialog AppletPopup and then role AppletPopup. So this is probably an enum which is part of a class, and this is a part of the enum. Okay, so this was the issue that somebody has encountered, and I try to help. And on my machine, this command line runs successfully. kdesrc-build plasma-framework builds correctly. On his machine it did not work. So then what could have been the issue? So let's look in, we're using kdesrc-build and how it's configured. So where are we? So I'm using the following settings. Defaults. I use my own Qt, does not matter for this issue. I build with CMake build configuration debug. These are defaults. I have changed stop on failure to false, does not matter for this issue. And then these are defaults. This and this, I have added things because I built Qt from source, does not matter for this issue. Okay, so I'm using pretty vanilla kdesrc-build with the exception that I'm using invent layout. So that's why after ~kdsrc there's this frameworks directory before Plasma framework, which is the kd git repository. So between ~kdsrc and the check git clone of the kd git repository, there's this subdirectory frameworks. Okay, let's what could be the problem? Maybe the git clone of KWayland is not up to date. Let's see if this is the case. Let's do a git fetch first. Okay, nothing to do. Where are you? Let's look in the history. So the remote origin master is at this commit. At the same commit, git commit is also the local branch master. So we're up to date. Okay, so this is the directory where we git cloned, where kdesrc-build has git cloned the kd git repository KWayland, ~kd/frameworks/KWayland. We looked at the history, so we're up to date. It tries to access this enum. So let's find PlasmaShellSurface or role actually. We're just going to search with Visual Studio Code. Let's make this case sensitive and whole word. No tests. This thing is a variable of this type. This is it. So enum class role in PlasmaShell.h. So the member of this enum that's missing is the last one, AppletPopup. Okay, but in the git clone of KWayland, this member AppletPopup totally exists. So then what's the problem? Why can't it find? So again, we have two the Git repositories involved in this issue. One is Plasma Framework, which fails to build, and the other is KWayland. KWayland's source code is up to date. We have run kdesrc-build Plasma Framework, which the way it's configured, it also builds KWayland correctly, and it installs KWayland correctly. So that's the equivalent of include dependencies. So whether we specify -- include dependencies or not, it doesn't matter. It will still build all of the dependencies, all of the other Git repositories on which Plasma Framework depends, because that's the way it's configured in tilde/.config/kdesrc-build. Okay, so the source code of KWayland is correct. It was built correctly. It was installed correctly. So then why it doesn't find it? It doesn't say where the enum comes from. So it says the file where the failure is, which is in Plasma Framework, but doesn't say from where it takes the definition of the enum, which is the actual .h file where this enum comes from. Okay. So we try to see why on my machine it works correctly, why on this other machine it doesn't work. We compared this directory, so the directory where KWayland was cloned, identical, and we know that kdesrc-build does all it can to make sure that the directories where it git clones are identical to the remote Git repository, to the canonical Git repository. And it didn't complain that KWayland has changes which, so it didn't say, where are you? It didn't say changes to this, to KWayland, the repository exists. Okay, so it didn't say something like you had local changes in KWayland which have been reapplied. No, so it's the correct source code, make installed correctly, everything's correct. So the issue turned out to be that when we build Plasma Framework, it actually does not look at the CPP files from KWayland. It actually doesn't look at the .h files from this directory. It looks at the .h files from this directory. So from tilde/kd/usr/include /k5/KWayland. Plasma framework is built like any other Linux C++ source code package or a source tarball. It locates all of the .h include files in the search path. So in this case, in tilde/kd/usr/include, and all of the .so files in the tilde/kd/usr/lib, and all of the CMake files from here, so tilde/us/kd/usr/lib/cmake, and also the .a files for static linking from the same directory. Okay, so let's look in tilde/kd/usr/include for this row plasma, let's say PlasmaShellSurface. Okay, so it says 32 files. Some are from KF5 KWayland. No, it's just 2 files. So it's 68 results, does not really matter, but from just 2 files. PlasmaShellSurface exists, this string exists in tilde/kd/usr/include in just 2 files. And surprise, surprise, the file has the same name. So it's plasmashell.h, plasmashell.h, but in different directories. Okay, let's go to this directory then. So to tilde/kd/usr/include/kf5/KWayland. Include kf5 KWayland. Let's open Visual Studio Code here. Search for the same thing. Okay, still 2 files. And what about role? PlasmaShell.h and PlasmaShell interface. But this is for server and these 2 others are for client. So I guess it's one of these 2. So let's look at the actual enum class role. So one doesn't have what we need, which is AppletPopup. And the other one does have what we need, which is AppletPopup. So a file with the same name, with really similar contents, but one contains AppletPopup, one does not contain AppletPopup, and on different directories. One is in client and the other one is in KWayland client. Let's see if we can compare these 2 files. Doesn't work like that. What can we do to actually compare them? Copy path. Copy path, Ctrl V. We're using Melt, the GUI application. Ctrl Shift V, and let's put a and sign. Okay, so these are from different eras. One has the spdx headers, and the other one has classic copyright headers. Okay. So this is, I think, a new member of the enum, which is AppletPopup. A new function, open under cursor. This best practice is to have a comma after the last member of an enum. Okay. So the error actually is that kdesrc, so GNU make, so GCC, has used the wrong file, the wrong PlasmaShell.h file when building. So it's using the older one, which is in client /PlasmaShell, instead of using the newer one, which is in KWayland client PlasmaShell.h. Okay. And the question is, why does this header file appear twice with the same name in the two different directories? Why isn't the search order correct? So the issue turns out to be that the KD Git repository KWayland had a drastic change where make install stopped putting files in this directory, started putting files in this directory. So that looks like in history like this. So it says in the cmake file install files client lib headers, and the newer one is with 2 KWaylands, and the older one is just 1 KWayland. So if you keep reusing the same ~kd directory over and over, at some time 2 years ago, when files were make installed into this directory, and now files are make installed into this directory. So the idea is that from time to time, it's a good idea to just delete ~kd directory to start from scratch with kdesrc-build. Okay, so again, this was a not a cmake configure step issue, but a make issue. So when kdesrc build was at the step build, when it was actually compiling the source code, not when it was preparing the GNU make files. It's not about missing dependencies, missing packages that you need to install from your distribution. No, it's about the fact that kdesrc-build has built both the KWayland from a few years ago and the modern, nowadays the current KWayland Git repository. And these two versions of the KWayland Git repository wrote to different directories in ~kd/usr. Okay. So the fix in this case, if we don't want to nuke the entire ~kd directory, is to do a thing that you should not really do, which is find out the directory where KWayland does make install, which is this directory. So tilde/kd/usr/include/k5/KWayland, and delete this directory. So we delete the KWayland directory. Okay. And now if we build KWayland, it says install successfully. Let's see if that's the case. So there should be a KWayland directory, client directory. It looks okay. And now let's build Plasma framework, but faster. And success. So the problem here is that kdesrc-build does not know that some files have moved in tilde/kd/usr, doesn't know how to delete the wrong old ones. Maybe the make install step of KWayland should probably search for the wrong files in the previous directory and delete them as part of make install. So that's my best guess. So make install for KWayland should copy the files in the correct directory in tilde/kd/usr/include, but it should also delete the wrong files. The files that the same make installed used to write a few git commits ago. Okay, so this is me recommending you that you delete your tilde/kd directory from time to time, or rename it and start from scratch. Do the kdesrc procedure from scratch. Do a git clone of kdesrc-build directory. Do all of the steps that are mentioned in the getting started page, which is okay. So do the entire kdesrc step from scratch, for instance, each year, to make sure that you don't have old files laying around in the tilde/kd/usr directory. And to use the newer version of kdesrc-build, because kdesrc-build doesn't update itself. Or use a new version of the configuration file of tilde/.config/kdesrc-buildrc. Thank you.